I'm excited to chat with Brandy Knight, the Esoteric Exorcist, today in the Awaken Feminine podcast. Brandy is an accountability coach, emotional release specialist, Kundalini Yogic Alchemist, #1 international best-selling author, public speaker, CEO of Inner Calling, and mother to her light worker baby. Her dedication to being an embodied leader, her no bullshit approach to showing up, and her crass sense of humor attracts future leaders who are ready to walk through the deep shadows, step into their destiny, and have some fun doing it. The driving force fueling Brandy's work is to provide guidance to powerful people who feel lost on this planet so that they can create the lasting legacy they are meant to. And I know she has so much love and wisdom to share with us today. She's my soul sister, and I'm so excited to have her here. She's joining me all the way from Seattle, Washington. Welcome, Brandy.
Woohoo! Thank you for that warm introduction. My goodness. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so excited because I don't know what we're talking about today. So
oh my gosh, let's just see what comes up. Let's see what falls into our lap.
Yeah. But the first question, this question I always know I'll ask my guest. So you have to answer this one. Okay. You have no choice. I'd love to know, what is your definition of an awakened feminine?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like that keeps getting clearer and clearer for me. Oh, an awakened feminine is a woman. I'm going to just say a woman who is an embodied leader, meaning that what this person is presenting to others as guidance, she's doing it in a way where she's leading by example instead of just speaking with words what she feels people should be doing, so to speak. So someone who walks the talk.
Yes.
That's where I go to right now, is someone who walks the talk. And a little extra nugget, I think, as we move into this Aquarian age in the awakened feminine, is someone who's not afraid to be honest, regardless of what the response might be. And if we're interacting with other awakened females on the planet, we can get through anything.
That's so beautiful, Brandy. That's such a beautiful definition. Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Walking your talk. And I know, like, on social media, there's so much noise, there's so much people saying that they do this and do that, but they actually just say it and they don't actually do it. They don't walk the talk. So that definition is just beautiful. And honesty, for me, that's a big thing as well. Being honest and truthful, living in integrity.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, I'm going to ask you this. I want to know why you are the Esoteric Exorcist.
I love that question. So a lot of my work is centered around unleashing our pent up and backlogged emotion. When we are hoarding emotion from this life, multi-lifetime genetics, within the lineage, it creates a low-lying vibrational frequency within us. And law of attraction acts in such a way where we're going to be attracting a like match frequency, whether it's a physical manifestation or a non-physical manifestation. So I'm not going to go as far as to say that people that I work with have been possessed by demons. However, most of the stuff that's been hoarded are opinions of others or behaviors of others that got imprinted onto us that we took on as our own. So it's a form of possession. And when we purge all of that crap, the rage, the sadness, the whatever, it looks very much like an exorcism's taking place. And then on the other side, the liberation and the freedom kind of mimics like what you might even see in a movie, so to speak, of like, the demons left the building. Oh, it's just this, oh God, no words can really describe that experience. So from clients, like, like, oh my God, that was like an exorcist. And it is, I mean, people are screaming and crying and slobbering and snotting and barfing and all the things sometimes, not every time, right? But when someone's been holding on to some really deep rooted stuff, it can present itself in some really interesting ways as it comes out.
Wow, that sounds super powerful. And I love that imagery that you gave about, other people's opinions, and it's like a possession, because it is, isn't it? We are so worried about what other people think of us that, we take on like, oh, that person said I'm this, or this person said I'm that. And even this morning before I jumped on this podcast with you, because I'm doing a daily kind of like a solo recording at the moment. And the topic that came out was, it's okay to have messy hair. Because I was told from when I was a child, it's like, why is your hair always so messy? Like, but the thing is, I actually love having messy hair. And when I have like straight or like really manicured like hair, I feel uncomfortable. I feel like it's not me. Whereas if I have the messy hair, it feels like that, that wild woman, like, I feel comfortable. But is like that possession of, you need to have like perfect hair because you look, messy, and you shouldn't look messy, and you shouldn't look this way or that way. So yeah, it's just so funny that before I came on and now you're talking about that possession of opinions.
That's what it is. All the false beliefs, all the outdated behaviors, all of it comes from, I should say most of it comes from that type of a possession. And when I'm working with clients, and I even still do it with myself, but it's like, God, everyone sucks, or like, nobody gets me, I look terrible with short hair, whatever the case is. It's like, okay, whoa. Like, everyone hates it. Who's everyone? All right. I want names. Give me the names. And I will make is an interesting word, but it's like, no, seriously, fucking Sally, Joe, Bob, who count them in it. Maybe it's 5 people. And if those 5 people have escalated to every single person on the planet, right? Sometimes it's just one person, our fucking mom or our dad, whoever, right? It's just like, you better straighten that hair. Right. And all of a sudden it's just like this all encompassing situation, when really it was just the opinion of one person.
Yeah. It's so crazy.
5 at most. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't it wild?
It is absolutely wild. I want to ask you, do you make your clients, like, I know you say you do the whole purge. So I think I talk to different people, and some of them are like, yeah, you need to like feel your emotions, find out exactly where it all came from. And others are like, no, let's just go to where we want to go. And not process it, but you don't need to like sit there and feel all your emotions to get over the belief. What's your take on that? Like, do you make your clients, feel everything first and then purge, or is it like, okay, let's just purge it?
Well, sometimes it's a case by case situation where the exercises I bring to the table with clients are going to reveal what's been hoarded in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily prescribe to the idea that we need to travel back in time and talk about all the details of what happened, unless there's a situation where someone has been holding a secret, and saying the words is liberating and actually unlocks something that needs to be unlocked before like the release can happen. Sometimes we'll bring some talking, we do bring talking in, into session, but it's nothing like traditional psychotherapy. It really is like, what's the bullet point? What's the essence? where's the root, meaning not necessarily like when did this first take place, but what's the, the root cause and the root to a particular kind of like, right, can present itself in many different ways. And when you're working with someone who's intuitive, they're able to kind of go in and see what's going on. So you don't have to, when you're talking about something over and over, law of attraction, you're exacerbating what you don't want. What you, in quotes, what we don't want, but most of the time people are addicted to the suffering. So that's an interesting statement to kind of mull over right there. So it really just depends. But typically what we do is we go through these exercises, and what's inside is going to reveal itself. So I don't think it's necessarily one or the other. It's a kind of a mixed bag, moment to moment situation for each person.
I love that.
Yay.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Because
good.
Yeah, it feels good to not a one size fits all. And it's just very personalized to each person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did you get into this work? Like, what made you go into doing this amazing work that you're doing?
Yeah, it's interesting. I knew that I had some real like psychic medium gifts. I didn't know what to call it, but I knew I had some gifts from my earliest memories. I knew that was going on. And I really tried to quiet it in a lot of different ways. I went down the party train, right? Like I think most of us did. I was drinking it away, smoking it away. Nothing really worked. It just doesn't work, right? It's so when I kind of came out of that, I realized, I had a number of different kind of like awakenings, so to speak, where, okay, I'm here with a gift. How can I use it? I know that there's more to my life than what I'm doing. Like what, what's my purpose? What's my mission here? What's my path of destiny? And that all of that avoiding behavior led to some really kind of gnarly health stuff. And Western medicine was not doing it, was not a match for me after really giving it a fair shot, which landed me in naturopathic medicine. And from there, I went into what's called Theta Healing, which is a really wonderful modality. I was in Theta Healing as a client for a few years. And then I took a training. And then from that training, I was able to start my practice where I was bringing my psychic mediumship readings into the equation and blending it with some different techniques. So very similar to still what I do now, but that was really the beginning, is just like, whoa, the Muggle way of Western medicine is not making a dent, right? Like I require something else.
You're the second guest that has said Muggle, and I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Like I think actually my last guest said it, and I was like, oh my God, you said Muggle.
Yeah, dude, right? I live in Harry Potter.
Love it.
So I'm a teacher at Hogwarts. No.
Well, you definitely could be.
That's my dream, right? That's my dream.
So I want to take just kind of go back. You said you, from like very first memories, you had, your gifts. Do you remember like anything specific that made you kind of realize that you were a little bit special?
Well, special didn't click until later. Different, very early on, I was seeing things. I was seeing other beings. I was seeing sprites and fairies. I was seeing other beings as well. I would find myself, I was sleepwalking and sleep talking all the time. I would find myself in different areas of the house by myself. But the things that I was seeing, I was very much awake. I would hear things, and from the age is hazy. I'm going to say like 5 or 6. I was visited by a shaman.
Yeah.
And I believe that shaman was actually me. in another life, in another body. The jury's out, right? Like I'm really not going to know 100% until I leave this body, right? But that's kind of like where I'm at with that now. But the shaman has stayed with me ever since and has guided me through channels and healings and all kinds of stuff. But that was, I was dancing with him. And I remember some of my earliest memories were like dancing with him in my sister's room and chanting and, headdress and all, like the full situation. So I knew that, that was a unique life experience.
Yeah,
from
definitely.
a very early age. I had no idea how to process it. It was terrifying at the time.
Yeah, I bet. Because did you like tell your parents, or were your parents very open to these sort of things, or?
I think that, there wasn't really like the dialogue around that kind of stuff and the openness about it now wasn't how it was then. So I wouldn't say that they were closed off to it, but I would say, my mom definitely had some more moments of being open to it. But I was also very secretive.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to bring words to it. Yeah. But I would tell people, I would say things here and there for sure. But a lot of where I provided a disservice for myself as a child was I was so secretive about so much of it that I carried on all of that stress and all of that fear. And I just bottled that up. So, which it then led to, as the wheel turns, right?
Yeah. The hoarding, like you call it. I love that term that you use. Yeah. So when did you start to really explore your gifts and start accepting them and really turning it into something of service to yourself and to others?
So my first career in my 20s, I was a hairstylist. And I was working at a world famous strip club, and I was styling hair for the dancers. And it was a wild world. It was such a wild scene, but in a way, it really felt like home, and it really felt like family. It was just such a weird dynamic, such a unique experience to have. And although I was rather a mess at the time, I started opening up more to these abilities and meeting other people that were into various types of witchery, that were, doing, readings and, card readings and crystals and, the whole thing. So my world started to kind of get opened up where that was more normalized, where I was like, oh, I get to I feel comfortable talking about some of these experiences because I started to find a world where it was more talked about. And then within that world, there's the adult entertainment industry is, I'm not going to say it's all terrible, but a lot of what I experienced within the dynamic of the actual business felt very low vibrational. Even though there was another aspect that I found, which looked like family, which was aside from like the business operation.
Yeah.
There was a lot, it's like, it's adult, right? It's adult entertainment, right? There's not a lot of high vibe stuff going on out there. So I started to kind of play around and cut my teeth with how could I provide another service aside from doing hair with some of these dancers, give them a safe space to talk and to feel, and maybe like reframe a couple things for them so they maybe could see things in a different way, feel like they have more options available to them if that felt like a yes. So that's where I really started to kind of explore and branch out in regards to consider like, oh, I could do this as a job. It was like, my practice.
Yeah. Wow. That's such a cool story.
Isn't it wild?
It is so wild. I just can't even imagine like that life.
So fun fact about where I used to work, and people can research it and figure out where if they want to, but one of the predecessors to my final management position, because it's towards the end of my stay I was there for about 15 years almost. 13 years on and off. I was a manager towards the end. And one of the predecessors who had a very similar position at the time, not at the time, but previously, was Hunter S. Thompson.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, Hunter S. Thompson is a pretty prolific author.
Ah, okay.
So I would imagine that some people listening to this will know who Hunter S. Thompson is. And like if you ever read the book or have seen the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Anyway, so little fun fact.
Okay.
There.
For those who, no. Wow. So the movie was made as well.
Oh yes, there's movies that have been made. There's movies made about the club that I was working at. There's a lot.
Okay.
It was a world famous club, and I have nothing really terrible or negative to say about it because I really did find family there.
Yeah.
Which is a weird and wild place to find family.
Yeah. Hey, it doesn't matter, right? It's what it feels.
It really doesn't.
Yeah. How it feels.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you then, so what made you leave that, that and then start your own thing? So how did that all come about?
I ended up giving birth to my daughter. And I realized that, so much changes when you become a parent, right?
Yeah.
And that was really like okay, I can wake up fully now and rise up 100% or not. And I chose to do so. And part of doing so felt like, there was a natural progression of me leaving that life. And moving into like really embodying my gifts, right? Like that was kind of the real beginning of like being the embodied female, the embodied leader. So that was really the turning point. And it was nose to the grindstone, learning and studying and practicing my readings. Cause it's one thing, you've ever seen those movies where like the psychic mediums are like, they do a reading and then, they like pass out on the, and they need to be like revived.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying that that's not true because, if you don't know how to run your energy and you have these gifts and you're doing this work, you really can be that person that needs to be revived after every, after every reading.
Yeah.
I didn't want that.
Yeah. It does take a lot out of you to, with the energetics work. I mean, even like with me seeing clients, I need to protect my energy and clear my energy and, and revitalize myself before and after, because it can take so much out of you. And with you are a psychic medium, and I believe, I hear, I don't know, but I hear people say that, can take a lot more out because you're just constantly getting information. Can you maybe talk a bit about how that feels for you when you work with different entities and connecting in, I don't know what you do exactly.
Yeah, no, totally. It's perfect. It's a perfect question. Question. So I really trained up on how to tap into kind of like beneficial information, we'll call it, in a way where I kind of go over here and the information flows through. And then I'm kind of cleaning and clearing my space of any kind of residue that might be left over or any of like my client's energy. And I'm calling and cleaning my energy from their space, calling it back home. So I go through like a whole kind of routine and then kind of like slide back into place, kind of, so to speak. When I'm, blending that with the modalities that I'm bringing to the table.
Yeah.
However, I receive shit all the time. And if I'm not diligent about, I have a very strict practice. I have a very strict morning routine, which helps me kind of like really be able to like be in command of my crown chakra satellite and like what I'm focused on and what I'm tuning into. But there's some times where I'm just like, But diligence, commitment and diligence to a very serious practice. That's where Kundalini Yoga comes in for me, in mantra. That's how, grounding work, cleaning and clearing work, shielding work, Kundalini yoga, mantra technology. Those are non-negotiables for me.
Mm. How did you get into Kundalini yoga?
Well, it was introduced to me by a girlfriend years ago, and then reintroduced again by two dear friends. And that's when I really got into it. And I got introduced to the Rama community and what became my teacher, Guru Jagat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
She's amazing.
I am so, oh God, just, there's no real words to describe that. So I was lucky enough to be able to spend every morning with her and a group of women from the Aquarians Women's Leadership Society, who I'm still very much a part of. So that's when I really got committed, taking classes, taking courses, really getting involved in my own way, and had my own, little special connection with her, and still very much a part of the community. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing for me, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's my introduction and the Kundalini yoga legacy in my life, which I can't imagine won't last, right? It feels like, you have those lifelong practices, right?
Yeah.
It feels like one of those. How
has Kundalini yoga changed your life? Because you talked about mantra, and I know there's lots of different technologies. There's lots of things in Kundalini yoga. It's not just the yoga that everyone thinks of where they do downward dogs. It encompasses totally different. So much, because I've read Guru Jagat's book, and it's like I've learned so much from there. I mean, I don't practice a lot of things. I just do things here and there. But I mean, do you mind talking a bit more about how it's changed your life and kind of what Kundalini yoga encompasses? Yeah, absolutely. So there's two main lineages of Kundalini yoga, and I've studied both of them. One kind of coming from more of the Hindu side of things, and one coming more from the Sikh side of things. The Sikh side is a little bit, that lineage and those teachings are newer, so to speak, in comparison to the Hindu, but they also have a lot of kind of crossover in regards to the teachings and the postures and the mantras and all of that. But essentially, Kundalini yoga is the yoga of energetics, and it's meant to take you above time and space and actually kind of potentially have these laws that just are these universal laws. Maybe there's some wiggle room to play with, right? So I'll leave it at that. I mean, it really is like some pure alchemy right there. It's the most beautiful form of alchemy and science that I've ever practiced. And I would say the biggest effect that it's had on me, the most beneficial, is strengthening my nervous system. When you're a person who's sensitive, you're very sensitive. I'm very sensitive, meaning that we're very perceptive. That's such a gift to be sensitive. If you don't have a strengthened nervous system, you're going to be on sensory overload, which I was. Yeah. So the strengthening of the nervous system, the clarity of mind, and I would say the resource to be able to become a public speaker, to reach more people, to step up as a leader and not, make myself small anymore, to really give me that kind of strength in my auric field. There's so much, but I would say, those are the main impacts that Kundalini yoga has had in for someone who might have the wheels spinning on repeat in a way that's not very beneficial to them, or someone who has, their ship blasted open because they're a psychic medium. The mantra comes in and creates a sound pattern that then kind of can reorganize the entire system, really, but kind of reorganize how the pineal gland is focusing
which then directly, so our, light and sound come in, right, through the third eye point, which then directs how our crown chakra, our satellite, is receiving, like what radio station we're tuned into. So if you're not deliberate with how your radio station is tuned, especially as someone who's receiving all kinds of information, I mean, you're just going to get bogged down. You're just really going to be in a gnarly space. So that was kind of a long-winded description, but I hope that made sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So with someone like, I know you said that you could see things when you were young. Can you do you still have that a bit? I don't know if you can turn it off or on, but like, do you still have that ability to see, or do you still see creatures or fairies? And
yeah, it is. I am very thankful that it is less, because that can be very, I'm here to also live a life, right? So, so it's like, so I'm very thankful that it is way less. However, what's heightened is kind of this, it's called like an instant knowing. So there's just like these instant knows, this knowing. So it comes through in other ways: imagery, smells, tastes, hearing, body sensation, names. I mean, sometimes it's very, very loud, right? Yeah. But yeah. Yeah.
So interesting how it can like morph and change as you morph and change as well.
Yes, absolutely. And, you can command it, right? Like if you get really strong, you can command your gifts. Absolutely. Just like, like, dude, I don't want to see all of that all the time. Like I need to live a life. I need to drive. Right?
It's like this fairy in front of me.
Right. So what are you doing? Right.
Yeah. I just can't, like, I don't see, but I hear. So it's, I just can't imagine seeing things all the time. That would be freaky for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you're saying that you have some clear audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. Not all, like it comes now and again, but not like it's not constantly hearing things.
Right. Well, that's good, right? It's like you don't.
Yeah. Because I'm just thinking now of like, I don't know if you watch X-Men, but Professor X, and like he's just constantly hearing people. Gosh, that would be horrible. Like if you can't, like what you said with the antenna, you need to like really be focused with what you want to receive.
You know what I compare it with? I'm glad that you said that. You said X-Men because it had triggered the memory of Sookie from True Blood. Did you ever watch True Blood?
No, I've heard of it, but I never actually ended up watching it. Oh my God,
it's so good. Well, I like it.
So I've heard.
It's been a long time since I've watched it, but she has the ability that you have, but she can hear people's thoughts. And when you have that type of ability that's so constant and so loud and so powerful, it's like, right? It's like you really go, you start to, right? And that's why people kind of lean into like drinking and smoking and doing whatever just for like a moment of just check out.
Yeah. So crazy. But so cool at the same time. I love it. I love all this.
Hell yeah.
I want to ask you something else. So motherhood. So when you had your baby, you said you went, okay, I have to rise above or, keep doing what I'm doing. I want to ask you, how has what you're doing affected raising your, how you are and your practices? How does that kind of not transfer? How has that changed the way you may have not changed the way? I can't even think of the word. Right. How does that?
I think I know exactly.
Yeah, like how you mother.
Yeah.
How your mother,
totally.
your child.
I love
oh
it.
my God, I can't think of.
That's the perfect question. That's perfect.
How you mother?
Yeah. So how do you mom?
How do you mum with everything that you do? Yes.
You know, I'm so happy that you asked this because it's such a hot topic for me right now. And I parent very, I'll say this. It feels different the way I parent in regards to maybe the geographical community that I'm in. Mm-hmm. And it works amazing for us. I say us for like my family dynamic. Mm. So I work from home now. She's witnessing mommy do her work. She sees mommy do her rituals and her yoga, and she'll chime in with me.
That's so sweet.
She's also very gifted. She's going through kind of what I went through when I was younger, and we have very open conversations about all of it. And I do what's called unschool with her, which means life is school.
Yes.
And she doesn't go to school. She doesn't go traditional public school. She doesn't go to, anything. We don't do anything traditional because from the get-go, it just didn't feel like a yes for us. So I think what I do and my gifts have contributed to, my parenting style is that I now have the courage and the stamina to be able to do things differently and not compare and not look for validation outside of my home.
Yeah. That's beautiful, Brandy. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it's always hard for people to go against the norm. The norm is to take your kids to school so that they get what they call a quoted proper education. But, like you say, life is school, and at the proper real schools, they don't teach us about life, which I find really funny because we don't get taught to be resilient. We don't get taught to, get up when we fail. We don't get to taught how to process our emotions. We don't get taught all the basic life things that will get us through life.
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing.
When we have those skills, we're a lot less easy to control.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. So we get fed, maths, which, yes, it's good to be able to do simple maths and all that. But do we really need like geometry?
Well, what's cool about unschooling is, we go over sacred geometry. That's math.
Yeah.
We go over all the things that she needs to, that would be beneficial for her to have for her life in a way that feels like a match for her learning style.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So cool.
Yeah. So do you have like a curriculum, or like how does it all work? I'm just interested to find out how that all works. Yeah.
We started out with a curriculum and then we threw it out the window. So no, we don't. We go to the library. We spend time at the library. We are outdoors. So there's like wild learning. So learning in nature, you can do math in nature. We're still in the younger, we're just wrapping up first grade. So we're in the beginning process of all of this. But I do, I work with a school, actually, an unschool school. So I have a teacher that I can lean into for suggestions and guide, some guidance. If I'm kind of at like a loss of like, okay, well, where do we take this next? So I have support. And, but as far as a curriculum, no, it's just, we don't have a bedtime. We don't do anything like that. Mommy gets up because I have a very strict morning routine for myself. And so that's kind of a natural kind of like everybody wakes up.
Yeah.
My daughter wakes up, but, we don't have any real rigid rules other than, mommy needs to know where you are. Mommy needs to be able to see you. Mommy needs to know who you're with. And the rest is, because parenting's done in the womb.
Yeah.
Parenting's done in the womb. Once they get here, our job is just to keep them safe. There's some guidance and some, we want to keep them safe, but good luck with parenting outside of the womb. They're their own person by then with their own agenda and their own mission.
Yeah, it's always funny when I talk to other parents and they're like, I did the same thing with my first child, but my second child is completely different. Or, and then the third child is again different, but they doing everything, parenting the same way. Yes. And it just goes to show how much we have no control with how our children are. They are their own person. Yeah.
They're right. They're like, there's some guidelines, right? We have some guidelines, but the parenting's done in the womb. And I think it really behooves all of us to remember that, we're the portal for them to get to the planet. And they're coming to the planet to fulfill a particular mission. That's predetermined. There's not much that we can do to, fight against that and be successful.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Hey, and the thing is, we grow up fighting ourselves every step of the way until we go, all right, I can't fight this. This is what I'm here to do.
Yes, exactly.
So how awesome that you are able to, nurture that in your child now to help her now, so that when she grows up, as she grows up, she doesn't have to go through all the things that we had to go through to kind of go, oh, right, accept ourselves for, our gifts and who we are. You're doing that now. And how beautiful that you can have the conversation with her. She's going through what you went through when you were young. Yeah. So beautiful to have you, as her mama.
Thank you for saying that. She's the love of my life. We are best friends. We have so much fun together.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. Yeah. I'm just looking at the time, Brandy. So I'm going to ask you one more question. And that is, what is currently setting your soul on fire?
What's currently setting my soul on fire is helping humanity call in the golden age through waking up. And, I can spend time, talking about the evils of the planet, or I could spend time being the embodied example of what the good, the light on the planet is.
Yeah.
So that is lighting my soul on fire right now, and really calling in clients that are ready to do this work. I mean, I just got a testimonial. I'm getting these testimonials. I'm just like bawling my eyes out because their life experience is shifting in just such beautiful ways. And it's like, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here is hearing from these people that have, that I've had some sort of hand in guiding into awakening for them and living their best life.
Yeah. So beautiful. And thank you for all the work that you do to help raise the consciousness and awaken the people on this planet. So like you say, bring in the good, and you're the example of that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and sharing your love and wisdom with us today, Brandy. If people want to find out more about you or how they can work with you, where should they go?
You can go to my website, which is innercalling.com, and it's INNERCAULLING. I'm most active on Instagram. It's at innercalling. Same thing. INNERCAULLING. You can email me, call me, send me a message on Instagram, and I will 100% get back to you just as soon as a working homeschooling mom can.
Amazing. I'll have all your details in the show notes so people can reach out to you. Thank you so much, Brandy.
Thank you so much, Kaki. Thank you. Mwah.